Our goal was to declutter over 2,021 items last year, and we dove into this January having already decluttered over 365 items. So come along as I tell you about the challenge. Hey mamas, and welcome back to The Balanced Mom. I am Andrea. I typically record with Alana, but this whole decluttering series has been a lot on me because I really wanted to get our house under control and have a lot less to manage. So before I dive into the January decluttering series, I wanted to go ahead and just give you guys an update on how our move went. We moved a little over 2 months ago, and I've been trying to get rid of things as I unpacked and just trying to keep a pile of things that we don't need anymore, especially with a new house, new spaces. Things don't fit the same way they fit at the old house, and so we've been slowly getting rid of things, but it hasn't really been as intentional. So January came along and I went ahead and I just decided I'm going to do this huge challenge, which is 12 items a day, 5 minutes a day. That's 12 times 31 days. It's over 365 items in 1 month. So I want to take you guys through each bag, kind of show you which things are donations and which are garbage, and here's why. After decluttering over 2,000 items last year, I really think a lot of the things that are left are like little tiny things that should technically go in the garbage. So I'm curious to see like what percent of all this January decluttering stuff is going to end up being good stuff that can be donated versus just little knickknacks, things that are honestly just straight to the garbage that really don't need to be sitting around the house. A question that has been on my mind for a while now is why in the world did I not get rid of these things as we decluttered last year? And as I'm going through these bags, I think that question will hopefully surface because I'm not really sure. So here's the challenge that I created. The goal was to get rid of at least 12 items a day. I had about 90 ladies doing this alongside me, so that was also really encouraging and it really helped with accountability. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into these bags.
I wanted to start with this area because the first thing we see when we walk into our own house are the different surfaces. So to tackle the most frustrating area was really important for me going into a new year. I only found some items on the schoolroom table. This was one of my Target finds from last year's school year, and I loved using it, but I have nowhere to put it in a rental place, and so I'm just going to go ahead and part with it. There's no point in keeping a $3 item, not knowing if I'm going to use it in the next place. For me, this was the kids' drawers because we have an abundance of stuff.
Day 2 has better items because it was still part of the kitchen. I've held on to this for about 6 years, have never used it, have always wanted to make a rotisserie chicken. Definitely time to let it go. I held it through the decluttering series in hopes that I will make it. That's a good item, and I think somebody can really use it if they want to make rotisserie chicken. Then I have these kids bowls. There's nothing really wrong with them. I just have another set, and we really don't need 2 sets, so that's also an honor. Random chopsticks. They were supposed to be for a craft, as was this cork. And then I also have water bottles, one that is broken and one that we honestly just don't need because the kids each have one and they don't need more than one. I'm putting this aside just because somebody local asked me for it.
Since I already did the kitchen sink and I actually just organized it when we moved in, I chose to use the Mudroom sink instead.
I know why I didn't declutter last year, and that's because a lot of these things, I was hoping to use them up because they're a bunch of chemicals, but in reality, I decided to just toss them all since I'm switching to better products and just ones that don't have a lot of toxic things in them. So a lot of these I'm just throwing out. Nobody asked for them locally, and so obviously some things can be donated, like these 2, and the rest are just going in the garbage.
My go-to now is a natural all-purpose cleaner that we pretty much use for everything.
Let's just say it seems like my garbage is almost full and my donation bag is not even close to. Since I don't use antibacterial wipes, this is also going to be tossed. I love the fact that I took time to cover it. It came in handy when I used it, but it's definitely time to just let it go.
Since we got rid of so many toys last year, I took a different approach to this day. I ended up just asking the kids if there are any toys that they don't play with. I asked each girl to find me 4 items, and sure enough, they didn't disappoint. I chose to tackle our mudroom entry since it really needed some love.
I've been hoarding foam bottles. I really don't need them. I know my sister-in-law would be gracious to give me more if I needed them, but they used to break a lot, and I kept a bunch, and now I notice that they last a lot longer, so I am done. I am also done with all the mismatched socks. I got rid of them last year, but we ended up having a few more stragglers.
Each child has one set of different pair of socks, and therefore they only have one mismatched sock at a time.
And this is a Find My Key kit. So again, I'm gonna hand this to somebody local. Then I chose to go through my little one's clothes because I know that I was hoarding a lot of swimwear, especially since I didn't know which ones he'd fit in over the summer. I kind of held on to them through the decluttering. Well, there's 4 to pass along and some other just random clothes that he will not be using. And look at that, we still have a random toy that actually it does not work. The screen is just all messed up, so garbage. So I have one bag that's done and moving on to the second donation bag.
The nightstand being so small, it was already decluttered from last year, so I decided to tackle a dresser that's really close by. And all these things go in the donation pile. I tackle the kids' bathroom because there's always things in there that we can get rid of.
So it's a ton of little hair thingies. Many of them are going in the actual donation pile, but I do have tons of little makeup that's extremely old, and all that will go in the garbage. That's things that I pass on to the girls, like lip glosses and things like that.
It's a good reminder that decluttering never ends.
There's also clips in there that are just old, some are discolored, some are broken. It was really nice to go through it because, again, these are all just little knickknacks that have been sitting around and did not pass our first decluttering session.
Since I didn't have any decor or seasonal items to go through,
It was more challenging because I didn't really know what to tackle, but fortunately, one of my daughters brought me a bunch of things that she's getting rid of, and so I'm gonna go ahead and just separate these into toss versus donation.
in addition to the one in, one out method that I've been trying to use, I think I'm going to start just tackling one item a day. That way things will stay under control even when Amazon packages and such come in. I have a 3-level system dealing with paper piles. This is level 1 that I go through about every other week. The things on the left will be stored in my long-term level 3. These are the things that I'm tossing. Now when it comes to day 12, I didn't really go through my office desk or junk drawer because a lot of the areas I already took care of last year. This is my level 2 system where I keep track of everything, papers that need to be put away, things that I need to reference or take care of. It's not perfect by any means because it's not as pretty as I'd like it to be, but it's super duper functional. I also obviously store things that need to go into the memory pile or anything else related to paper. Just a reminder to not wait until you can get an area perfect, but to aim for progress. Now when it comes to the pantry, I had a bunch of loose tea that I was about to throw out, and then I decided just to make a huge batch to be done with it. In terms of the rest of the things that I pulled out of the pantry, there was only one thing that was expired, so the girls had a really good idea that they wanted to just use the rest of the things that I was about to toss to make their own special treat, which was a really sweet memory. This is definitely the area that I forget to go through regularly.
Some things that we just don't use anymore, like we have this little kind of like a replacement of a nose spreader, but I like the nose spreader a lot better, and of course just things that we don't use. Medicine that's expired, extremely old honeycomb that was in our medicine drawer, definitely don't need, but I do want to keep the mason jar. So I'll put that to the side, again, expired, and I just had way too many thermometers.
I do go through my purse fairly regularly, but there's always things that can be taken out that I don't need anymore.
And honestly, all of it is garbage. It's a bunch of receipts, old masks, paint swatches, just random things. So I'm gonna go ahead and dump all those out. And of course I have a few stragglers in my purse. Since I replaced my makeup, these just apparently didn't make the cut.
I took care of the freezer as soon as we moved in, but I still had some fridge and pantry things to tackle.
This made it through the decluttering process because I do use it once in a blue moon, but now that we moved here, I just noticed that it's not my go-to. And so I could go ahead and pass it along. I'm sure I can use something else for the pressure cooker and it'll be just fine. And then these are just things I need to throw out, we don't use. And so we have a whole new bottle of A1, which I thought was funny. Y'all don't want to know the expiration date because it was very, very, very old. I don't use it ever. That's probably why I left it there thinking, oh, my husband will use it when he has steak. But I guess that just didn't happen. And then I have other random things that are beyond expired and again, will not be using. Instant coffee. I used it for some drink off of TikTok and now it's just not going to be used. 2 coffees that hubby will not drink, so I'm going to go ahead and pass those along to somebody local. And again, just more things that we will not be using or are expired. All right, this bag is getting very heavy, so I definitely need to grab another bag. All right, this is the second bag. And I'm on the second bag, but obviously the bags are not the same size. Okay, since we moved in, I have been wanting to declutter my cookbooks, and I had a friend come over to help me, and I still just was attached to so many more, and so I was definitely not ready to pass them along. But my goal as we lived here was to declutter enough where it fits in on one shelf. So I'm so excited about that. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these all in the donation pile. I'm finally down to my goal, which I wanted to do last year, but honestly, I just didn't know which books to get rid of. The way I decided was just picking the ones that actually have pictures. I noticed those are the ones I'm more likely to use. And then I'm pretty sure somebody can use these for storing like magazines or books. Day 18, since I don't have magazines and newspapers, I went ahead and tackled my own nail polish. And let's just say I had plenty to get rid of.
I did buy a handful of non-toxic ones since we're trying to stick to more natural products. Time to dive into our game cabinet.
We have plenty of games, so I knew it was time to go through them, especially since we actually play kind of the same handful of games. We don't use some of the things anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and just toss some of these out. I have Uno cards from when I was a teen, y'all. I mean, if you look at them, look at the condition they're in. They're like brownish. They're just really bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and toss those. This doesn't work, unfortunately, so it's going in the garbage. And then the rest of the games, I'm just gonna go ahead and put in the donation pile.
I'm constantly reminded that decluttering is a whole process that you have to continue doing in order to actually manage your inventory, because things will change, kids will stop playing with things, and we constantly have to go through them.
And since I didn't have enough games for this particular day, I went ahead and tackled under beds. And so there was just some random things under some of the beds, some clothes that are too small for a little one. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass those along, a random scarf, and then I know this pajama is actually garbage because it has holes in it. Day 20, I personally tackled the mudroom, and that's because I knew I had some material from the old house and just some things that I don't use anymore. So my wood filler ended up drying out. We don't use this black like pen for flooring anymore, so that can actually be used by somebody because it's barely used. Then the rest is honestly just little knickknacks that can be thrown out. And I really don't need a second hole puncher.
Since I replaced 95% of my makeup last year, I went ahead and just tackled the half bathroom that we have.
All these go in the garbage. They're either old or, again, just things that we won't be using anymore.
As we got closer to the end of the challenge, I noticed that it became harder to actually focus on the specific areas that I delegated at first, so I just went ahead and tackled other areas.
This ended up just being chewed up, so it's garbage. A fan that's broken, a little clippy. Nothing wrong with it, but the kids don't use it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and toss it. A pajama, of course, that has holes in it yet again. Some makeup. It seems like I have a lot of stragglers that are makeup that did not make the cut last year when I switched to more natural products. It's probably because I have several locations in the house that have makeup. I have a small pile upstairs in our master, then downstairs on the first floor, and then in my purse. No idea where the top is. Another straggler. And then I have been contemplating if I should get rid of this toaster for such a long time, but I've held on to it because once in a blue moon I'll pull out this one and the 4-slot one. And honestly, as I was doing this decluttering, I was like, I really don't need one with just 2 slots. 4 will cover it. People can wait an extra minute to get another batch of whatever we are toasting. And then other clothes that have holes in them. Day 23 was supposed to be linens, but I tackled clothes again because we have a lot of random clothes. Still more straggling socks. Hopefully this is the end of them. And obviously some tights that just all need to go in the garbage.
I keep this bin upstairs for anything that I need to get rid of. Once it gets full, then I go ahead and toss it in the donation pile.
Finally, this has made the cut. It didn't make the cut last year because I kept hoping that I would be able to reattach it. It's something that you hang on the side of your bed, and then your child can use it to store things, or you can use it to store things. I tried everything. I tried duct taping it. I tried melting metal, whatever that's called, I'm blanking out, but nothing worked, and so it's just time to be done with it. We can't use it, it's not functional, it's garbage. These are 12 years old. I have no idea how they passed our decluttering last year. They were probably at the bottom of something, who knows. Then I have a book, a CD case, which is very old and broken, so that's going in the garbage. Then a little decor piece, another spray that we won't be using. I don't know if you're anything like me, but I seriously hoard spray bottles as if I'm gonna like never be able to buy another one or end up with an empty one. But this top didn't work well, so at least that gives me a reason to toss it out. And now I only have 2 empty ones, and I think that's a huge improvement. Y'all, seriously, I don't know where they keep coming from, but they keep showing up. And my kids are down to 1 pair of socks each. And so we don't even use the patterned ones, but they keep showing up. So this is absolutely crazy, the fact that we decluttered last year, and this is the 3rd day in January, and I'm still finding random socks from months ago. I got 2 decor pieces that I'm gonna go ahead and donate. And then just some little random, again, knickknacks that are garbage. This goes in the donation pile, and then some more body things that are going to be tossed.
Hot zone is an area that tends to get more cluttered than other areas, and ours is definitely clothes.
A lot of these just go straight into the donation pile, with the exception of things that have holes in them.
By the time clothes tend to reach our 3rd daughter, they definitely wear out a lot faster with holes, so I definitely have to keep a closer eye on them.
I ended up moving all the girls into one room because we obviously need to prep the home so that we have a space for the baby to come into. So I went ahead and I tackled some of their clothes, because obviously moving into one room means making sure that it is decluttered and not super cluttered in the room. Y'all, and there's still more random socks.
And hopefully this is about all of them, because I did get rid of so many last year. If you watched the decluttering series, you would have seen I got rid of a whole bag of them.
And some more. The rest are decent clothes that I will be donating.
Once we decluttered our clothes for each of our child, I felt like laundry became super easy.
I'll have to grab another paper bag because I'm running low, but I'm going to go ahead and stack my donations here for now. These are actually, again, decent things. I got some books, some more clothes that are in good condition, but then of course I do have 2 things that end up just getting tossed. One doesn't work. It's supposed to be like a clapping thing to turn on a lamp, and then a slinky that just goes in the garbage. My 6-year-old came and asked me to help her with one of her drawers. So this is just a lot of things that she ended up not wanting, but it's a lot of little knickknacks. A lot of it will just get tossed, with the exception of 2 things, which is a watch and then a little toy. The rest is all garbage.
With it being super cold over here, I was not about to go out to the car or to the garage to do any decluttering in those 2 areas.
All right, this is lastly, because this is the most recent pile, I did not bag it, but I have random things that I found in the kitchen that I won't be using. I'm gonna go ahead and toss them because I know if the donation center gets them, since I volunteer there, they just throw them out when they're little things that they don't know what they're for. This is for a little basket that you can lift out of a pressure cooker, but I honestly just use my oven gloves. And then this is for separating like 3 different frostings, and again, I just don't use it. Again, I have more bathroom things that will go right into the garbage. And the rest of the things are all maternity clothes that I finally ended up going through that I'll go ahead and just put straight into the donation pile. That was 24 items to wrap up January. So that's 127 items that I just donated out of more than 365. I will put up the total on how many things we've donated this month and let you know what % of the items ended up actually just going in the garbage. So I think it's really important, even after a big decluttering series, to go ahead and do a very, very detailed one for the tiny little knickknacks and garbage that are just kind of sitting around the house, maybe in small piles, possibly at the bottom of your purse, maybe even in your car, maybe at the bottom of a kid's drawer that you will probably not get to if you're doing a big decluttering. And there you have it. If you're up for a challenge, come join us
For any of our upcoming monthly challenges.
The goal is not for it to take hours a day. It's still 5 minutes a day for the decluttering. If you're interested and you'd like to join, just go ahead and let me know in the comments below and I can go ahead and add you to our Facebook group. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. We really appreciate your support. Thanks for coming along in this whole decluttering journey. We will see you guys next time.